Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on what part of the world you're watching from. Of course, this is the West Ham Network. I'm Anton. And to be honest, I can't tell you whether I'm coming or going. Silly season has started again as a West Ham fan. You know, the transfer window was open, and you thought that one saga would dominate our stories in the media about Declan Rice. And that saga is making me nervous and bored really, of the situation already. Because as a West Ham fan, you want everything to be done really nice and early. That's something I think we need to do this transfer window, is be nice and early, and get our business done and get all the players settled, and learn from our mistakes from the past. And 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 now this show is titled Fabrizio Romano, and what he said is Roma have agreed personal terms with Gianluca Scamacca, but West Ham have no intention to let him leave on loan as things stand. Scamacca will insist to join Roma, while West Ham are waiting to find clubs to buy Scamacca on a permanent deal. Now, West Ham, apparently, according to sources, want to sign a striker before even considering letting Scamacca go. And apparently he's agreed on all the terms that's agreed. And they've had the representatives come over to London. They're in discussions, and apparently they're going to be discussing that a little bit more. And of course, we know it's not been a fantastic first season for Scamacca. However, you've got people like Kevin Nolan speaking out and saying, listen, we know it's been a tough start from him leaving home and not adjusting to the Premier League, but we've also seen the best of what he is capable of doing. And he's had a topsy-turvy season with his injuries. I've gone through that before. And if, there could be a potential deal to be done with Roma, what could that deal be? That could be that we could potentially look at doing a swap deal with a player. One of the players that we potentially are looking at is Nikola Zalewski. And we, of course, are looking to recuperate any form of money. What we can't do is go back to that world of signing these players for 30, 40, 50 million and selling them for 10 or 15 and having that loss of money. Now, Zalewski is a talented player, but on the surface, he appears to have enjoyed a less than average season in Rome as well. And despite a lot of game time for Jose Mourinho's side, he's only registered 2 goals and 1 assist in 47 matches. So is that potentially one of the players that we want to come in, and would that sanction a deal for Scamacca to go back to Roma? Zelensky was tipped to be one of the most promising players in Europe, but it's not pushed on. He can create some decent opportunities for others around him, and he can make very good runs in the game, especially playing out wide. However, his numbers and his stats haven't been fantastic nor impressive this season. He's a 21-year-old, and he's primarily a left-sided wide player, you could say, but can also function on the right-hand side wing. However, there are some question marks over whether or not his physical side would suit the Premier League football. He has got a lot of energy, and he has the ability to play in different positions, but he would be a lot cheaper than potentially the likes of Harvey Barnes, but he could be a good option for being such a young lad. But the issue I've got with potentially trying to look at something like this is we've got a long-lasting history of bringing players in that take a time to settle, and I think someone like Zalewski, who doesn't have the Premier League, history or would really take time to settle, whereas I would rather West Ham spend more money and go and get a player like Harvey Barnes. But we need to deal with the situation that is Scamacca. From day to day, you're hearing story after story after story about the situation about Scamacca. One minute you think that he is off skate because he wants to go. The next minute you hear Kevin Nolan saying we could genuinely see something happening. But what we do need to have is something of a resolution, and this needs to be done soon. If Scamacca wants out, then the deal needs to get done ASAP. Put this to bed very quickly. Start off as you mean to go on. Get this deal done so we can move on and eventually start to work on what we need to bring in this summer. I do believe that there is a player in Scamacca, but if it's not going to be at West Ham, then so be it. If he doesn't want to be at the club, then so be it. If he's never going to settle in this country, then so be it. We need to cut our losses and he needs to go. It's fine that fans get pissed off over our history with strikers, and rightly so. I'm one of those fans. But equally, though, there's just no point in having a player there who can't adjust to the Premier League or doesn't want to really be there. I do think we made a big boo-boo at the start of the season when we didn't give him the starting chance against Manchester City. I think he should have been thrown in at the deep end right from the off, but that didn't happen. David Moyes was very reserved about using his new players. The reports are saying that the two clubs are going to meet in the coming days to discuss what is potentially going to happen with the player. And apparently, Scamacca's agents are going to want to push for this move, and they're going to look for any way to resolve it. But as things stand, West Ham do not want him going out on loan. West Ham are only they're not really looks like they're potentially not interested in even getting rid of the player, but they will only do it if they could recoup their money. They could recoup their money. When it comes to the Scamacca situation, it's a shame. It really is, because I genuinely do believe there's a player in there. I think we saw some of the best of him and we saw some of the worst of him, but the worst really comes in the fact that he's been in and out of the team, and I think that's had a negative impact on him. But I do think there is an absolute player there that can suit our style of play, and if we are going to potentially look at and do different style of play for the new season, I think he's a sort of striker that can suit it. But it's just history repeating itself with West Ham and our strikers, isn't it? History is repeating itself again. Sebastian Haller, Chicharito, no matter, you can name them off, you can round them off. It's another striker coming through our ranks again. And it means that we are struggling again for finding someone that can settle, that can fit into our system. And these players, 9 times out of 10, do go on to start scoring some goals, whatever representative football league they do go into. Chicharito, albeit, ended up going across to America, banged in a few goals. Sebastian Haller, the rest is history with him. So I just don't want us to make a mistake. If we're going to be looking at players from Roma, I'm not really keen on this Zalewski, if I'm being honest with you. He might look a quality player, but is it Vlasic 2.0? I don't know. Like, we've still got Vlasic in our wings to talk about as well, and potentially coming back into the frame at West Ham, depending on if Torino want to make a deal. But we've brought this player Vlasic in from Italy. He's not hit off the ground in the first season. And will this other player do the same? Where I feel like if we can do everything in our power to try and manage the Scamacca situation, then so be it. But equally, if he wants to go, there is literally not a single ounce in my body that wants him, and I don't disrespect him. I think he seems like a nice geezer. I just think he's had a really tough start to life in the Premier League. He came with so much hope, and I think he was really unfortunate. A mixture of David Moyes' fault and a mixture of injuries' fault has led to the demise, you could say, of Scamacca. But Fabrizio Romano has jumped the gun and said that personal terms have been agreed. Whether they have, whether they haven't, it looks like they probably have. It's just a case of whether the clubs can do a deal. West Ham want a permanent move if it is going to happen. They do not want a loan deal. So, yeah, this is going to be an interesting summer. Like I said, it doesn't matter. Like, it's relentless. One saga to a next, to another, to another. And this is going to keep happening now between now and the start of the season and the window closing. This will be relentless. So be prepared. Buckle up, West Ham fans, because we're in for this transfer journey, and we do it every single season. Yes, we at YouTube channels and TikTok channels or whatever they are, social media sites, have a responsibility to report and please be wary of the fact that we are not saying this is all factual stuff. I'm bringing to you the fact that Fabrizio Romano, who's a reputable media outlet and reports very, very pretty much 99.9% facts when it comes to deals taking place. So, it'll make for interesting time. So leave a comment if you're interested in what I've said there about Scamacca. I know I've done a couple of stories on over the past couple of days, but it's relevant to bring it to you as well. Join us later on. There'll be the end of season awards as well, so join us for that. Hope you have enjoyed some of the content we've been putting out for you recently. If you're new around here, hit the subscribe button. We're on a march towards 20,000 subscribers. We're nearly there. We are nearly there. Can't believe I'm even saying it, but we are nearly there. So keep hitting that subscribe button. Interested in becoming a channel member? Really exciting stuff for you guys. If you are a channel member as well, you get entered into a draw once every month for really cool stuff, including a signed current West Ham squad team. That's the European Cup Winners' Cup, Europa Conference League winners. Not the white strip, but a home strip signed by the current squad. So what a cool top to be entered into a draw for. So if you're interested in doing that, join the membership program and see what it's all about. Anyway, take it easy and join us later on for the rest of the stuff we've got coming up on the channel. Come on, you irons.